Hello, this is Tiffany. Welcome back to the Bailey Family Business Channel. So recently my family took a Disney cruise aboard the Disney Wish, and it was our first cruise. And in the past, I have run a few Run Disney races. As you can see behind me, I've got my medals back here from my races that I've run in the past. And I have like a Rapunzel one there. I did the Star Wars run. I think I've done like a half marathon and maybe a 10K and then a 10 miler I've done for Disney races. So when we were going on our cruise, I knew that I wanted to do the Castaway Key 5K because I've heard about it before. And I honestly didn't know how the cruise was going to go for us. And if I would ever do another one, I thought I would maybe get pretty seasick. So I did successfully complete my Castaway Key 5K on our cruise. And since I did it, I wanted to give a couple tips for anybody who is also thinking about running the Castaway Key 5K, because there was a couple things that I found out on the run that I kind of wished I would have known ahead of time. So here's my video of the run, and I'll offer a couple tips along the way. All right, so we're at Castaway Key. We got here just from the bike rental shop, so I'm getting ready to start the 5K. It was a little bit of a walk to get to the bike rental shop because we didn't take the tram. So it's probably a good idea if you're going to do this to take the tram so you can save your legs a little bit for the run. So getting started now. So I walked for a minute just to say, so they have the course pretty well marked, and it's pretty good so far. Hey there! When I went to edit this clip, I discovered that the sound on this was just unsalvageable due to the wind that day. So in this clip here, I'm talking about how I went up to the top of this lookout station to look out over Castaway Key, and I'm pointing out that I can see the Wish here in the background. And I also am talking about how along the course there was water stations where I could fill up a disposable water cup or, my own refillable water cup. And I didn't actually bring anything along on the run because I didn't realize that there would be these water coolers along the way. So I was giving the tip that if I ran this in the future, I would probably bring something to carry water because I was getting pretty hot and thirsty at this point. No shade. You're like halfway through it, and you got this long stretch of sun. Bring a water bottle so you can fill up at the water station. I did it. I finished it. Conveniently at the end of the course, there was a slushie shop, so I got a Sven slushie, non-alcoholic. Convenient location of the slushie shops right at the end of the course, but yay, 5K done. All right, so that was my race. I finished. Like I said in the video, a couple of the tips that I would have. First of all, I didn't really mention this in the video, but I wasn't really sure how to start. I've seen in some other people's vlogs that there was a sign-up sheet in this ship. I didn't see anything like that or find anything like that in the ship. As far as I knew, it was just like self-timed, start whenever you can start. So I never stopped at the bike shop before I started. I just started, and then at the end I showed up and they gave me a medal. They didn't question when I started or anything. In hindsight, if I would do this again, I would maybe stop at the bike shop and just make sure they had a record of seeing me when I started. So that was that. And then, like I mentioned in the video, I would make sure that I brought something to carry water. I had a bottle, but I didn't want to carry it if it was empty. And I didn't know that there was those stations to refill my liquids. So I would have brought my bottle with me and carried it because, like I mentioned in the video, about halfway into the course, you ended up running on this long, clear stretch of road. and there was no trees around, and it got very hot and miserable at that point. Before that, there was the tree-lined sections of the path that you saw in the video, and there was some shade next to those trees, so I could go on the sides of the road and get a little bit of shade. But you know, like halfway in was when it started to get like to be a clear road with no shade. So I would have brought my water container. I highly recommend going to the top of that lookout as long as you're not afraid of heights. It was a couple of flights of stairs up into the air on a wooden structure. So if you are afraid of heights, especially on those windy days like I had, I maybe would steer clear of that lookout on those days. But otherwise, if you have no fear of heights and no issues, then definitely I recommend going up to the top of that lookout. It was a really neat thing to do. As you also saw in the video, there was like these clear markings on the path. So there were these little like red dinner plate kind of things, and then they had like 5K marked on them. So it was really easy to see which way to go for the course. Even though I was by myself and there wasn't anybody running with me, I still knew where to turn and where to go. So that was really nice. It was also kind of interesting because it almost like had a theme to the course. Like there was all these like airplanes that had broken down, and there was all these like parts along the road, and it was kind of just interesting to watch like what kind of things you would pass along the way. I guess my last tip is that I love that slushie at the end of the course. I ended up having to share it with Lucy and Lily, my daughters, and I didn't want to share it. I felt like I'd earned it. It was a little expensive just because of the sipper cup, like the Sven sippy cup. I didn't know if I could get it just in a plain cup. It didn't look like they had anything like that to put it in. So, I mean, I think I spent around $20 for it. So it was kind of pricey, but it was worth it to me because I was just so thirsty and needed something at that point, and it was really delicious. So maybe plan for that if you want to do that at the end to kind of celebrate your run. And like the last thing I guess I mentioned in the video is, you know, Disney has like a tram that goes along the island, and my family just walked. We didn't take the tram to get to the beach. So then because we didn't take that tram, I ended up walking from the first tram stop all the way to the bike rental shop so that I could start my run. And the tram actually goes really close to that bike rental shop. So in hindsight, I would have taken the tram all the way, you know, as far as I could, so that I could start my run without having walked, you know, a mile or something like that to get to the start of the run. So use the tram maybe if you're planning to run that 5K so that you can, like I said, save your legs a little bit. So all in all, it was a positive experience. It was really great seeing the island. I saw that there was like little chameleons along the path, and that was really fun to see those kind of like scurry away when I ran past. It was neat looking out over Castaway Key and seeing like what the vegetation on the island looked like. So I really enjoyed it. I would probably do it again if I was on Castaway Key again. So leave any comments if you have any other additional questions about my experience with the run. And thanks for watching today. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe for more videos.